This is Smoking Dave, and you're listening to a man who hates soccer and will not watch 1 second of the World Cup. It's the Kevin Friedman Show.
Hey now, it's Friday, June 15th, and another SportsGossip.com podcast is on the air. I'm your host, Kevin Friedman, along with my announcer, Smokin' Dave, and together we will bring you 10 of the hottest stories off the SportsGossip.com website. Dave, start us off with story number 1.
Le'Veon Bell wants over $14 million a year.
So the Pittsburgh Steelers have decided to play with fire for the second year in a row, as they have had no contract extension talks with their star running back Le'Veon Bell, and it looks like they plan to franchise him for the second year in a row. Bell says he won't play for a penny less than $14.5 million. He sat out all of preseason last year, and I'm sure he plans to do the same again this year before signing his franchise contract, probably a day before the season starts. If I was a Steelers fan, this would drive me crazy. The guy's been consistently dominant for the past 5 years, and he's only 26 years old. If I'm the Steelers GM, I'm offering him 3 years, $45 million, making him happy, and keeping the best offensive weapon in football on your team for the next 3 years, instead of watching him walk away after this season, which he'll surely do. Not to mention, he'll show up for OTAs and preseason. I mean, in a league where Sam Bradford can get $20 million a year, the biggest offensive weapon in football should be able to make $14.5 easy. I understand the running back position's been devalued, but he's not your average running back. The guy has over 80 catches a season as well. So the fact that Pittsburgh is hesitant to sign him to a longer deal and seems to be willing to let him walk after this season is shocking. Dave, what's next?
Michael Jordan's daughter Jasmine is engaged to Raheem Christmas.
Now, first off, I didn't even know Michael Jordan had a daughter. I knew he had 2 twin sons, but I guess I should have been paying better attention, because now she's engaged, and that means I can't marry her. I would have married MJ's daughter sight unseen. I mean, can you think of a better father-in-law? Not to mention, I would have went LeVar Ball on our kids, and in 20 years, my son would have been the best player in the NBA. Now I'm heartbroken over this news. And what kind of a name is Raheem Christmas anyways? I've never heard of a guy with the last name Christmas, other than Jim Carrey's character in Dumb and Dumber. Dave, have you ever heard of anyone with the last name Christmas?
No, but I once got the clap from a girl named Susie Hanukkah.
Susie Hanukkah?
Yep. And other than giving me a sexually transmitted bacterial infection, she was a great girl. And as far as Michael Jordan's daughter, trust me, you're better off not marrying her.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, let's just say back in 1964, I married George Mikan's daughter and tried to raise our kid to be a basketball star. Long story short, I have a disappointing 54-year-old son who is a third-rate insurance salesman in Kohler, Wisconsin.
Oh, come on, Dave. I'm sure he's a great kid. Now, what's next?
Mike Francesa creates daily fantasy 10 years too late.
Yes, the WFAN radio host who came out of retirement recently was talking about how sports gambling is becoming legal in every state and came up with what he thought was an ingenious idea where fans could bet on the actual players instead of the games. But the only problem was everyone else in the world has heard about this idea except him. I mean, where has this guy been for the past 5 years? You literally can't watch a sport without seeing a commercial for DraftKings or some kind of gambling website that does exactly what he was explaining. I mean, I guarantee they probably ran commercials on his show. I mean, what has this guy been doing in between his radio shows for the past 20 years? Sticking his head in the sand? He sounded so proud of himself, too, like he had just thought up the next great idea. Now, I know this guy's a radio legend in New York. Personally, I've never heard his show, but I've obviously heard of him. And the fact that he's never heard of daily fantasy sports before astounds me.
You know, I just thought of a great idea myself.
Oh yeah, what's that, Dave?
You get a bunch of attractive women, you take some pictures of them naked, maybe maybe even take a couple videos, and then you sell it to the public and make billions.
Dave, you should get in touch with Mike Francesca right now. I think you two should be in business together. Now what's next?
12-year-old 7-footer dominates on an 8-foot hoop.
Listen, I don't like ripping on a 12-year-old kid, but this whole article is ridiculous. This kid is 12 years old, he's 7 feet tall, and he's playing in a league against kids his own age who are all under 5 feet. And to make it worse, they're playing with a mini ball on an 8-foot basket. You can go to sportsgossip.com to watch video of this kid in action. I mean, basically all he does is catch the ball under the basket and put it in. He can't hit a jumper. He wears glasses when he plays. And every time he scores, his teammates and the fans go crazy. I mean, what's wrong with these people? Now, this kid is Canadian, and if Canada has 12-year-olds playing on an 8-foot basket, then no wonder they suck at basketball. Makes me wonder how Steve Nash became an MVP. Anyways, you can go to sportsgossip.com to watch this video. It's one of the more ridiculous things I've ever seen on a basketball court. Dave, what's next?
Capitals Brooks Orpik had his fingers sliced off and reattached during the Stanley Cup Final.
The Capitals defenseman revealed he got slashed in Game 2, and the slash took a tip off his left pinky finger, which he had sewn back on. Now, for a normal person, this is insane, but for a hockey player, this is the norm. I thought Devontae Smith-Pelly was one tough guy after he took that puck in the neck and the face and kept playing, but Orpik might have him beat. You can go to sportsgossip.com to listen to an interview with Orpik where he discusses the injury. Fortunately, you cannot see a picture of it, since that would be pretty disgusting. Dave, have you ever had a part of your body sliced off and reattached?
Well, let's just say when I dated Lorena Bobbitt back in 2003, I had to go to the surgeon multiple times.
Yeesh, sorry I asked. That's 5 stories down. We got 5 to go, but we got to take a break, so we'll be back right after this.
Hey there, this is Robert Gutenberger, and you may know me as the close personal friend of the barber on the set of the hit movie Die Hard 2 with Bruce Willis, or you may know me as the Gas Man. Does your father have terrible gas? Well, for this Father's Day, you can get him a gift certificate for me, Robert Gutenberger, the Gas Man. I'll follow your dad around all day and take the blame for his terrible gas. Whether he's at home, at work, at the ball game, or wherever, if he lets out that terrible gas, I will tell everyone in the vicinity that it was me. So hire me, Robert Gutenberger, and come this Father's Day, your dad will be thanking you for getting him the Gas Man. You can contact me at GutenbergerGasman@AOL.com.
And we're back. Dave, give us that next story.
The benches cleared in Los Angeles after Matt Kemp ran over the Rangers catcher.
In the 3rd inning of Sunday night's game at Dodger Stadium, Dodgers outfielder Matt Kemp was gunned out at the plate and ended up running over Texas catcher Robinson Chirinos. And after the play, Chirinos was upset about being run over, pushed Kemp, and that cleared the benches and brought both teams on the field. You can go to sportsgossip.com to watch the video. It didn't escalate from there, and I can't remember the last time I saw a good baseball fight like they had them in the old days. If you ask me, baseball's more fun to watch when you think teams don't like each other. So I'd like to see a good baseball fight one of these days. And that doesn't just go for baseball, it goes for all sports, specifically the NBA. That's why I want to see LeBron go to Oklahoma City and join Westbrook. I don't think Westbrook and Durant like each other. And if LeBron goes to OKC, that Western Conference Finals is going to be legendary. Anyways, as far as Kemp running over the catcher, first off, the third base coach should have never sent him. He was out by a mile. And if you watch the video, he pretty much had no choice. The throw brought the catcher right in his direction, and he had the right to run into him. By rule. Ever since the Buster Posey rule was implemented, these catchers have become real wimps. You should take a look at guys like Brooks Orpik and Devontae Smith-Pelly, because those are actual tough guys. These catchers have shin guards on, a padding on all over the place, a helmet, and they still can't be run into. So Robinson Chirinos, you're a wuss. And Kemp, I hope you do it again next time you have the chance. Dave, what's next?
NFL free agent Clay Harbor injured himself on The Bachelorette.
This guy's a career backup tight end with no fantasy value, which means he has no value to me. He sat out all last season after being placed on injured reserve by the Saints, and then he decides to go on the dumbest show on TV, The Bachelor, because, quote, he wants to find love. I hate to break it to him, but he's got less of a chance of finding love on The Bachelor than Dave and George Mikan's daughter's son playing in the NBA.
Hey, do you have to rub it in?
Sorry, Dave. I mean, this guy's a real douche. And the sad thing is he's from the Chicagoland area. You can go to sportsgossip.com to watch a video of him playing football on The Bachelor, giving some other schmuck on the show a stiff arm, and breaking his wrist. He says he's fully recovered from the injury, and he's ready to play in the NFL, but, not surprisingly, no team has signed him. Dave, have you ever been injured on a TV show?
It was 1984. I was a contestant on The Love Connection. I took one of the girls out and ended up breaking my penis on the date. When I tried to tell the story to Chuck Woolery on the show, I was thrown out of the studio and banned from the premises.
Well, I can't imagine why. That sounds like one hell of an episode to me. Now, what's next?
Robbie Williams gave the middle finger to the camera at the World Cup.
The singer opened up with his song Let Me Entertain You at the kickoff game of the World Cup between the home team Russia and Saudi Arabia. During the song, he walked up to the cameras and gave him the finger. You can watch the video at sportsgossip.com. Personally, I've never heard of this guy before, so I figured I'd be objective. I went on YouTube, put on one of his videos, and after 30 seconds of listening, I can safely say he sucks, and so does his music. And he was dressed like a total weirdo as well. He looked like he was dressed by Tom Brady and LeBron James' personal stylist Frandito. Anyways, Russia went on to win the opening game 5-0 over the Saudis. And I see we have a very excited Dining Emporium owner on the line. It's everybody's favorite Russian, Ivan Babushka. Ivan, big win today.
Milosh, Kevin, we took that Saudi Arabia soccer team and we made them our bitch. Russia wins. It is excellent. To celebrate this excellent victory for the next 2 hours, every Vatrushka you buy at Ivan Babushka's Dining Emporium is on the house.
Well, Ivan, if I wasn't 11 hours away by flight, I would definitely take you up on that. Congrats on the victory. Thanks for calling. Dave, what's next?
Justin Verlander's wife celebrated her 26th birthday topless.
Now, first off, I don't get this headline. If anything, Justin Verlander should go by Kate Upton's husband, not vice versa. That being said, you can go to sportsgossip.com to look at a video she posted on Instagram. Now, the headline says she was going to be topless, T-O-P-L-E-S-S, topless, but all you get is a little side boob, which I'm not complaining about, but it was false advertising. Anyways, I did a Google search of Kate Upton topless, and it took me to scandalplanet.com, and there I got some real pictures of Kate Upton topless. And beware, because there's also a picture of Verlander with Upton, both naked, taking a mirror selfie. And let's just say, you don't have to be in great shape to be a dominant pitcher in the major leagues. Now, Dave, give us that final story.
Mark Wahlberg no longer willing to sell stake in UFC to Conor McGregor.
Yeah, so I guess back in 2016, when Conor McGregor was complaining about his pay from the UFC, part UFC owner and actor Mark Wahlberg offered to sell McGregor his piece of the UFC. But now he has a change of heart because he was asked by TMZ Sports if he would still sell to McGregor, and his answer was no. The UFC just signed a 5-year, $750 million deal with ESPN, so it looks like Wahlberg made the right move. And when it comes to business, it looks like he always makes the right move. I watched that show, Wahlburgers. It's a great show. He's got a great family, especially his mom. She's like the sweetest lady on TV.
I'm not a fan of Mark Wahlberg. I used to be a member of the Funky Bunch, and when he became a big movie star, suddenly he won't return my calls. I haven't heard from him in 20 years.
Well, Dave, maybe he's a listener of this podcast and will get in touch. As far as the video of him talking about this, you can watch it at sportsgossip.com. And that'll wrap it up for another sportsgossip.com podcast. I want to thank my announcer, Smokin' Dave. Thanks to Ivan Babushka for calling in. And of course, thank you for listening. As always, for these stories and much, much more, you can go to sportsgossip.com. Our next podcast is Tuesday. And until then, we'll see you next time.